Hi, friends. Welcome to another edition of Midweek with Meaning, where we're going to talk this week about making friends. So, hello. Please say hi as you're coming in if you're watching live. And if you're watching the replay, please put replay in the comments. My name is Angela Ward. I'm a registered nurse and psychedelic integration coach. Uh, and I really love the journey that I've been on with you, with this process. There's just been so many interesting pieces coming out. So I'm grateful for you joining today. If you are watching on Facebook, please make sure you give Facebook permission, to give StreamYard permission to show me who you are. If you're watching on YouTube, please make sure to subscribe to my channel and invite your friends. If you find this work valuable, feel free to share anything you find as well. So let's talk about this, making friends. In the Full Spectrum Vitality Collective, my group, we are this week talking about family of choice. And in the process of contemplating family of choice, we have been thinking about friendships and how challenging it can be to develop friendships later in life, or at least that's the myth, right? But I've been thinking a lot about how during the pandemic, and especially during the greater times of restriction, that friendships may have shifted for you. They certainly shifted for me. There were some people that I've drawn closer to and some people that we've drifted apart. They've been gained, lost. And one of the things that has been so wonderful about this time is it's helped me personally gain more clarity around my values and what's important to me in relationships and around the people I surround myself with. So I think this is a prime opportunity for us to call in just the right friends for us. And yet, how challenging might this be? Especially if you've had any form of social anxiety in the past, or if you maybe are an introvert. And being in a situation now as our society opens back up, it could be increasingly difficult to figure out how might we connect with people. I noticed last weekend when I was out in the Seattle area, it was just a gorgeous weekend. So many people were out, and we've also recently been told that if you're fully vaccinated that you don't need to wear a mask, and so people were out with their masks off and smiling, and there was just this exuberance in the air. But it was also a really charged energy, like really really intense energy. And I can imagine that, I mean, even for me, being in situations where I'm seeing people not wearing masks, it gives me a little bit of a startle, right? Because that's not been how we've been over the last year. So if one already has social anxiety, and then we also have this built-in anxiety around what is normal anymore, how can we connect? How can we make connections? Perhaps we don't even necessarily feel safe to make connections. So let's talk about some ways that we could start to do this, especially if you're dealing with social anxiety and you're dealing with any kind of, um, pandemic related stressors. So the first thing before we can really even dive into developing deeper friendships is to work on ourselves and to develop clarity about who we are and what helps us tick, and how to manage our minds, which is a lot of the work that we're doing in the Full Spectrum Vitality Collective anyway. How to manage your mind, how to settle your nervous system. And in the last couple weeks, we've been talking about personal values and what's important to us. So having an understanding of what matters to you and what's important to you is going to help you when you're seeking friends that you want to connect to. But also, what makes you tick? What turns you on? What do you love? What gets you excited? What are you into? If you don't know, if you've spent this last year just binging Netflix and not thinking about things that you like, this can be really hard. Excuse me. It's challenging to show up and connect to other people if there's not some kind of common thread or common thing that interests you. We'll definitely be talking more about this in later weeks. So, first and foremost, get a little more clear about what are things that you're vibing about. What do you like talking about? What do you like knowing about? What do you like thinking about? What do you like looking at? What do you like listening to? So, start there. Next, I think it's helpful to understand where you might make connections. So, I normally don't recommend that people spend a lot of time on social media, but this is one place where I think the social aspect of social media can be super helpful. I think even as much as saying, hey, um, I'm coming out of my COVID shell and I'd really like to meet some new people I'm really into walking around a park, and maybe you like Lincoln Park or flying kites or walking low tide, or maybe you're like looking at art, or maybe you like going to farmers markets, or I don't know, throw some of the things that you're interested in doing that you enjoy into the chat, because I'd love to see that. But if you put that out there, let's say I want to go to the farmers markets on Sunday and I'd like someone to stroll around with and chat. There may very well be people in your social network that might have an interest in that themselves, or may have someone that they would recommend for you that they would think would be a good connection for you. And I think this is one way to at least practice getting some more connection and exposure to people. Another technique that I've heard of recently is joining free Zoom events or free whatever online thing that is free. It might be a workshop, it might be a meet and greet, a happy hour, a dance. I don't know what it might be. But this is going to give you an opportunity of the safety of your own computer, I guess, to see who's out there, to notice who you're kind of vibing with, and to make a connection with them. So if you're in a in a chat, and for those of you that are a little shy, I recognize it can be hard to do this, but I challenge you to maybe put it out there and say, I've really loved this conversation. I'm in wherever you live, and I'd love to talk more. Here's my social media handle, or here's my email. And if you'd like to meet up, I'd like to have these conversations in real life, and see if people might connect with you there. So those are two digital methods, I believe, of connecting with people. Also, like if you're meeting people in real life or digitally, definitely find out ways to follow them. Do they have an Instagram thing? Do they have a LinkedIn page? Just ways that you know that you can find them later and track them down and connect. And I'm not talking about being creepy. I'm talking about like genuinely finding an interest. So those are a couple starts that are a little lower hanging fruit. I think putting yourself out there on social media is a little easier than real life connection. But what do you do in real life? If we're talking about being in a place of complete strangers, practicing striking up conversation is so powerful. So you might all think I'm crazy here, but one of the most interesting ways I have learned how to do this is through having an exposure to materials from pickup artists. I know that sounds crazy. I'm not out there trying to pick people up, but there's some conversation around how to talk with other people, how to engage in conversation with people in a way that gives you clear messages about how to have banter, how to have enough of a connection that you can then see if you want to go a little bit further in connecting. So one great example that I've heard multiple times and also witnessed is taking my dogs to the dog park. The dog park is a great place. a great example of how to connect to other people, especially if you go on a busy day. There's a lot of people that are just standing around as their dogs, excuse me, as their dogs frolic, right? So it's a great opportunity with low-hanging fruit of conversation to be like, oh my gosh, look what they're doing. I'm thinking about getting this kind of dog. Or, people are really willing to have a conversation because it's not necessarily about each other. It's about this kind of external witnessing that's happening. I imagine there's plenty of other places in our society as well where you can get into those opportunities just to connect with people. Another process, so I can imagine some of you that have social anxiety are hearing this and like, oh, hell no, I'm not going to talk to random people and stand around and talk to them. But if you're looking in developing deeper friendships, someone has to extend the olive branch. Someone has to, and it might as well be you, right? And it might as well be to the person that you're like, oh, they look interesting to me. I like their coffee mug. I like the sticker on their backpack. I don't know. Who knows what it is? In the world of sales, they always talk about yes living in the land of no. So in a way, you have to practice getting a lot of not knows in order to find the people that are really your people. And the only way you can do that is by engaging with a lot more people. How can you make it a game? How can you gamify it? There's plenty of materials out there in the world about how to be a good listener, how to have active listening skills and reflective listening skills that can help bring people closer or make them feel, good around you. That's one of the things that I love is when I am around a friend, a dear friend, that it's just there's this easiness and there feels like there's a lot of reciprocity. So what to do if you're starting to feel anxious as you're talking to someone? So if you're working with me, you probably already have some lovely techniques about grounding and centering and tuning into your breath. But what can happen, I think, when we're engaging is our thoughts can become distracted by what we think they're thinking. And we stop listening to what someone else might be saying. So challenge yourself to really drop in and listen and to soften your belly and breathe. Know that you are safe. You are safe to connect with other people, especially in a public environment, especially as people are starting to feel this, liberation. Is that what's happening? Of just something shifting and people are feeling more connected. Now, why does this matter? We know the values of friendships. People that have friends oftentimes live longer, they have healthier lives. They have people that can support them in challenging times, and we can support others. It's just part of our human nature, right? So as you're thinking of any questions, maybe this is stimulating some questions for you, please post them. I would love to dialogue a bit about friendships. Let me look at a couple other resources I've been checking out and see what they might have to say. Well, this is really important, I think. Don't expect instant results. Creating a friendship, of course, takes time and mutual effort. But if you make this a priority, remember that it's a marathon, not a sprint. So friendships form over time and connection. And know that there's no rush, right? Take your time. Also, once you've made some new friends, just be careful not to take them for granted. Make time to prioritize your friendships, even if it's not necessarily convenient for you. And I think this is important to remember. And I'm certainly guilty of this. It's like, it can be really challenging to fit things into a busy life. And sometimes you have to say yes in order to deepen what's happening. And what other good things can we say about that? When it comes to saying yes, remember that when you can, as much as you can, take the opportunity to say yes to an invitation from someone. It's a bid. So what I mean by saying yes is it doesn't necessarily have to be they're asking you out to dinner and you have to say yes. I mean, that's lovely, but that's not where I'm coming from. What I mean is it's like that improv game where it's not the no, but it's the yes and. So if you're in a situation where you find yourself talking to someone, see if you can offer something to keep the dialogue going, to keep the curiosity flowing, to get to know more about them. So rather than maybe someone asks you a question, you just give it a curt response, like a simple no question. Think of ways that you could kind of keep that energy flowing between you. Like, even if your answer is no, let's say they ask you, I don't know, I can't think of something off the top of that, but the answer might be no, and you could just say no, and that's the end of it. I don't know if you ever had a conversation like that with someone where they're clearly like shut off and they're giving you signals that they don't want to engage. So, how might you deliver messages that you do want to engage? Even if the answer is kind of stopping the conversation, how might you then lob the ball back across the court? How might you keep the banter, keep the conversation going? Also, remember humor is so important. We take things so seriously right now. And a lot of people are struggling with social anxiety and struggling with getting out and getting to know people. So if there's an opportunity to lighten the mood a little bit or just bring a little levity or beauty to the conversation, I think that's so powerful. One more little trick I'd love for you to try is compliment people. And don't be a creepy dude if you're a dude, okay? Please don't be a creepy dude about this. But what I've found when I've played with this is noticing things about people and remarking on it. So I'm one who always does eye makeup. That's fun. So when I'm out in the world and I see people that have done fun eye makeup, I always like to comment on it because I don't know that everybody says stuff to them about it, but it's super fun when I've seen someone that I can tell that they made some effort to make their eyes look really cute, or they're wearing cute lipstick, or they're, I don't know, something. If I'm like, wow, your eyeshadow looks fantastic. It's so fun to see how other people light up. And so this is a little tip that I really think is valuable, is not to say, ooh, I like your eye makeup. That's about me. That's not about you. If I say something like, ooh, the colors you use on your eyes make the color of your eyes amazing, or the way that you've coordinated your outfit to your whatever looks really fantastic, or that looks really classy. I think that can make people feel really good about themselves. Finding ways to give people a little gift of a compliment, it just creates this energetic flow I've found that helps people soften and makes me feel good, right? It also, because what it does for me is it allows me to move out of a critical, judgmental perspective into one of what am I seeking? What's the beauty I'm seeking? What am I seeking here that is actually I like? What do I like here about this situation? I hope that makes sense. It's kind of shifting a perspective of being in the world and having a chance to feel and recognize more beauty and more joy and more play in the world. So, yeah, I think that's what I have for you all today. If there's questions, pop them in the chat or comments. I'd love to hear what you think about this. I'd love to know if you have any really good techniques for making more friends or deepening friendships. How do you manage your anxiety? Is there anyone watching right now that needs more friends? I think that'd be great to know. So may you have a fruitful week. May you have an opportunity to make some other people smile. May you notice the efforts that people are making and help them feel good about those things. So I don't know. I feel teary now talking about that. Why is that? I don't know. Anyway, my loves, good to see you. Thank you for joining me again. We do this show every Wednesday at 10. You can watch the replay at your convenience. Ellie would love more friends. So I think that's a beautiful thing to share. And if you're looking for friends, maybe y'all should talk with each other. I think that would be fantastic. Yeah, give yourself opportunities to connect this week. Please do, and let me know how it goes. All right, my loves, have a beautiful week, and we'll talk next Wednesday. Bye.